Welcome in, guys. It's Brad with College SportsCast. We are here. College football is over. It is now jam-packed full for game day pick'ems with college basketball. All right, guys, it's Brad with College Sportscast. I do have Hammonds on here with me. He's fixing a camera issue while we get started here on the show. But I do have Hammonds here with me, and we are here to do week 22 of season 3. We are now over beyond 300 episodes of College Sportscast. Did you hear that, Hammonds?
I heard it, man.
We are now over 300 episodes. We're beyond it. We're like 305, something like that. But we are beyond 300 episodes. All right. If you're on Facebook, we just want to say thank you. We are growing tremendously on Facebook, trying to get there with a few of the other platforms as well. But if you're on Facebook, you can help support us by sending stars, or for a little bang for your buck, you can go 99 cents a month and subscribe to our Facebook page. It gives you a chat that is just for subscribers only, that I am in, try to be in at least once or twice daily, and posting things in there. And then you also get access to a subscribers page, and it's, again, only 99 cents a month. Both of these things help support us to earn money to continue to make content for you guys. What's up, Jonathan?
He said, "There's Hammonds' ugly mug."
Yep. Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that.
All right, John. So I got to ask you, did you watch any of the LSU South Carolina game?
Bits and
Girls.
pieces. It was a tightly contested game up until about third, fourth quarter.
Yeah.
North Carolina put the defense on them, man, and they just
That's what I
couldn't.
wanted to say, man. Lord have mercy. They play some hella defense.
They do. Darn Staley's a good
Like,
coach.
man, so LSU averages over 91 points a game, and they struggled to hit 56. Kind of reminded me of Kentucky playing A&M the other day, where they struggled to get 55. But I'm going to tell you right now, man, gosh, they just put the clamp down on LSU.
Yeah, it was fun to watch and an exciting brand of basketball. If that's what you like.
Here's my thing, and I don't know, people don't realize this, but did you see when South Carolina made their run and took they had a couple of steals, took a 9-point lead there, and basically took control of the game? Did you see how rowdy that crowd was for the women's game?
It's pretty intense for a women's game.
It was intense, man. I'm telling you, it's South Carolina has one hell of a following for women's basketball, and it's intense. And I mean, it sounded on TV. It was on ESPN tonight. If you didn't get to watch it, but even on TV, it sounded like a game at Rupp Arena or at Duke basketball. I mean, honestly, that's what it sounded like. It was insane. All right, we are going to start with men's basketball. And we are going to start in Columbia, South Carolina, but this is with men's. This game is tomorrow. And I do use DraftKings for my spreads. There is one of these games I couldn't find a spread on for the men's, but the rest of them I think have spreads. The first one here, John, is Mississippi State is a 6.5 point favorite at South Carolina.
Man, you look at South Carolina, I guess, and you think, goodness, they only lost to Auburn by what, 3 points? They led the whole game against Florida the other night.
Against Florida at South Carolina.
Yeah,
that's 6.5 points. That's kind of big, really.
And Florida hadn't even maybe led the entire game in the last 4 seconds. And it's mind-boggling to me that South Carolina is losing these top close games. Now, on the other side of the thing, you got Mississippi State. They've struggled at times in SEC play. They've dropped 3 of their last 4. Mississippi State's defense ain't as good this year as it was a year ago, I don't think. They gave up 81 or more points in their last 3 or 4 games. And South Carolina has a really good defense, too, that could possibly win this game. I think I'm going to take South Carolina to cover in this game. I don't like the Bulldogs on the road, especially the road games I've watched them in. They just don't look that great.
Well, in South Carolina, man, Lamont Ferris always has these boys playing at home. They're tough. It's a tough place to go into. I just talked about how rowdy the crowd was on the women's side. It's a tough place to go into. And like you said, he does play great defense, and that's part of the reason why it's tough.
And to add to your point, Josh Hubbard he's not played well, Brad, in the games that I've watched. He's not really done great. Now, they're good at home. That's expected because you play better at home. But the road games I watched, the Tennessee game, I think it was this past game, before that, before the Ole Miss game, they struggled on the road.
So we got 2 on here that says
the Auburn
South
game,
Carolina to cover and South Carolina to win.
So they didn't look great at Auburn. They didn't look great at Tennessee. And now they're going back on the road to South Carolina, a team that plays really good at home and is yet to kind of have that elusive win so far. I think Mississippi State wins this, but I'm going to take South Carolina to cover.
I think that's exactly where I'm going. This spread looks too high to me. Since this is in Columbia, they just play too good there. I think the smart pick with this spread would be to take South Carolina in the 6.5 points.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. All right, the next one, we're going to go a little bit out west here. Well, actually, Arizona State would be out west, I guess. Iowa State is taking on Arizona State out in Arizona, and Iowa State's a 9.5 point favorite on the road here, John. I know Arizona State hasn't had quite the season that Iowa State has had. But again, when you're on the road, 9.5 points is a big number.
Well, and they just recently lost on the road to West Virginia in a game. I think it was last weekend. If you take those 2 games out where they lost to West Virginia, Iowa State's been dominant. Arizona State, I think they're 1-5 against other opponents.
Let me ask you a question because I haven't kept up with it a whole lot. How is Jaden Quaintance doing out there?
He's doing pretty good. I watched a few games earlier in the year. I think he's playing really well. He's really good on the glass. Arizona State's going up against probably one of the best defenses in the nation. They're very aggressive. They can pressure the ball. They switch a lot on their screens. They got a lot of athletes that can fill it up. Jefferson's really good. Jones is really good. Gilbert is another guard that's really good. Iowa State's playing for a 1 seed right now, and they know that they got Arizona and Kansas coming up. I don't think they're going to lose focus here. I think they're going to take care of business here on the road. Now, I do think this is a high spread, especially for a road game. That's probably I'm probably going to go the same route I went South Carolina. I think I'm going to go Arizona State to cover this spread because some of these road odds are they're picky and to choose from. To be honest,
some of these spreads are kind of head scratchers. Although I do think Arizona State probably is a 10-point better team than this Arizona State team. I mean, Arizona State, this is, they got Jaden Quaintance out there who committed to Kentucky with Calipari and is one of those kids that was committed to Calipari that really, when he left Kentucky, didn't really give Calipari much chance at Arkansas. And Quaintance took NIL money to go out to Arizona State.
took in the bag to Arizona State.
Did. He took a bag to go out to Arizona State and took the NIL money. And this is where I want to go with this is this. There are kids who worry about winning and going to a winning culture. And then there are kids who worry about money. I have a problem myself. I would rather a kid worry about winning and going to a school that is going to have that kind of culture to win ball games. Arizona State is a so-so team. I think they're 11-7 or something like that on the year. But they're in danger of missing the NCAA tournament. And as a kid like Jaden Quaintance that has all the talent in the world, he went out to a place for a bag of money that, to be quite honest with you, not a lot of people were even paying attention to. It's hard to stay relevant when you do that. Having said all that, and I had to put that in there and bring this up, I do think Iowa State is at least a 10-point better team than this Arizona State team. I know it's on the road, but I think I am going to take Iowa State in this game and lay the 9.5 points. I was checking the comments. All right. The next one we're going to talk about, I put this one on here because it is a rivalry game that we don't see all the time. It's new to the SEC because Texas is in the SEC now. We get Texas A&M at Texas tomorrow.
Yeah, and A&M.
And there is no spread. There is no spread on this game. I couldn't find one on DraftKings.
Yeah, A&M, they're coming off a win over Ole Miss this week. They closed the game on an 11-2 run. Hadn't led for 15 seconds, was it, Brad? That was another game where they hadn't led. Now, Texas has won 2 of their last 3 games. A&M won the first matchup by, I think, was it 20, 22
Johnson's
points?
been playing really well for them. Freshman.
Although this game probably will be closer, just for the mere fact it's at Texas. It was a blowout at A&M. It being an in-state rival on the road, I think I'm going to take the Aggies here. Texas is good. There's just some pieces there that I don't think fit this team. Now, Trey Johnson's probably one of the best freshmen in the country. They got the kid Kaluma is really good. He's playing really well for them. But other than a few other guys, this team don't.
Kaluma's kind of sporadic, but when he's on, he's one of the best players in the country.
Yeah, he is. I think I'm going to take A&M in this one. I like this A&M team. They're playing really good
Wade
with Wade
Taylor is
Taylor.
back. He played against
Um,
Ole Miss, so he is
Phelps is
back.
playing really good. Phelps is
Yeah.
playing really good for them. He was a big transfer piece for them.
And
So
then
A&M's playing
what's his name?
Obasaki, I think is his name. Um,
Yeah,
he's
he's
really, really
tough.
good. He was the one that actually had the game winner the other night. He hit the three
Yeah,
to win the
he
game.
can get
So
to the lane.
he's really,
Yeah,
really good. So I'm going to take A&M in this game. I like the Aggies here.
I think I'm going to take Aggies too. I mean, I really do think that Texas has turned a corner. I mean, they've won a couple of games in the SEC now, but I like this Aggies team, and I like Buzz Williams. I'm not going to go against him. I wished I could have found a spread on this game, but I couldn't. So we'll just take it straight up with Texas A&M. The next game we're going to talk about is Georgia at Florida. Georgia is a team that lost in the last few seconds the other night as well. Now they get to go on the road, and Florida is a 10.5-point favorite at home. That's a big number for basketball. You're muted, John.
Georgia has not really played good against Florida the last few times. I think they've dropped their last 11 to the Gators. Georgia's issue is protecting the basketball. You saw that the other night with Arkansas. They loose balls. They couldn't hold on to the ball. Every time they drove, Arkansas took it away from them, seemed like. Now, the Gators have a really big rebound advantage in this game, which I think will lead to probably extra possessions for them. Florida probably, to me, has one of the best offenses in the country with Martin, Condon in the middle, Clayton out front. You put Richards out there. Aberdeen is really, really good. They're going to get their share of buckets here, Brad. And I think Georgia is going to be in for another game here where it's going to be tough to fight an uphill battle on the road. And I do think Georgia covers the spread, though. I still think it's pretty high, even at Florida, because I think we've seen a similar one against Missouri, and Missouri kind of took Florida.
I actually don't think Florida has played well the last couple of games.
No,
I know they pulled it out the other night, but
they haven't played good at home either. I mean, the Missouri lost. Then they struggled on the road against South Carolina. They haven't looked that great the last couple of games. So, but I think they win this game here. I think they take care of Georgia. But I think Georgia covers the spread.
Do they put it together at home here against the Bulldogs? I mean, it is one of their main rivals, maybe the main rival.
And you got the whole Mike White, former coach at Florida, going up against his old school.
Mike White left Florida to go to Georgia. So you got all that as well. And I kind of like the job that Mike White has done. And one thing that we have not even mentioned here at College Sportscast is what is going on with the Florida coaching staff and some of these issues that's going on. But it doesn't seem to be affecting the season so far. But they have not played good the last couple of games. Do you think it has something to do with their coaching or coaches?
Well, maybe it could be a distraction. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a lot to take in, especially as a head coach, because he had the accusations against him early in the year. Then you had the ones, I think it was last week, with Torian Green on the staff. So maybe a distraction thing there, which they have not. They've not really looked. There was times in the game the other night against South Carolina, Brad. They looked like a bubble team. They looked like a team that was just.
I agree with you. They really have not played well.
But in this game, I think they take care of business at home. They're good at the O Dome. It's a tough environment to play in. I think Georgia's in a tough spot here.
I think they're going to be looking to rebound, like, to come back and play well, at home against Georgia. I think they're really crowd's going to be into it. I think that'll push them through because that crowd can get crazy at the O Dome there. So I am going to take Florida, but man, it's very tempting to take Georgia in this spread, to be honest. But I think I'm going to take Florida. All right. At the top of the show, I did not mention, if you look at the right corner, the top.
I was getting ready to say that we're presented by Stadium Rant. I was getting ready to say that
we're presented by Stadium Rant. I meant to put that in at the top of the show. I do have their logo on with us now, so just wanted to throw that in there before we go further along here. All right, John, we're going to talk about Kentucky and Vandy. Kentucky goes to Memorial Gymnasium tomorrow. Tough place to play, tough environment. Tennessee found out just how tough it was just the other day. The Cats are a 3.5-point favorite on the road.
Yeah.
What do you think here?
Kentucky's
you also put out an article today on Stadium Rant.
I did.
This. Go check it out.
Kentucky's an elite offensive team. And you look at Vanderbilt, he plays a high octane offense too. They're really quick. He had a lot of that at James Madison too. I feel like this Kentucky team is a little bit different than the last several years because they got some transfers instead of relying on a bunch of freshmen. Vandy has a home win over Tennessee, and Kentucky isn't the same team away from Rupp Arena. Let's just leave that out there. Kentucky should win this game, Brad. I don't think they're going to be intimidated. I can tell you because the crowd's going to be involved. It's a sold out. It's already sold out for tomorrow. But I think I'm going to take Kentucky here. Don't let me down, Big Blue. I think I'm going to give them the 3.5 spread here. But I'll say this, Brad. They're going to have to fight and scratch to win this basketball game. Vandy's not going to let anything off the table. They're going to punch them in the mouth, and Kentucky better respond.
John, these road games are tough, and I know we've talked about some, and I've even picked a road game or two, Texas A&M over Texas, and I'm not going to sit here, but I'm going to tell you right now, after losing at home to Alabama, and I'm not saying it's a bad loss. Alabama's a good team. It's not a bad loss. Okay, it's actually a quad one loss. So it's not a bad loss. But if you come back from that and don't play well and get beat at Vandy, that's a bad loss.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not saying Vandy's a bad team because Vandy just beat Tennessee by 1.
I'm going to tell you why I think it's a major big deal to win this game tomorrow because you got Tennessee on the road Tuesday night.
Yep.
And then you got Arkansas coming to town, and we all know who's coming to town. It ain't Santa Claus either. It's John Calipari. So you got, Calipari coming to town. You got
Carr has had all week off. They did go 7 days here in between games. So I'm hoping he got some rest.
So
and maybe healed up a little bit with his back. Because he didn't look good against Grant Nelson. Let's be honest.
I think I'm going to pick the Cats, the 3.5 here. I'm like Joshua that said in the comments, it's going to be a 40-minute game. Kentucky's going to have to fight to win this game. It's not going to come easy.
What about the 3.5?
I think Kentucky covers. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Carr's got to come back a little bit more healthy. I've said this all along. Kentucky's a different team when Carr and Williams are not out there. They just can't handle the physicality that is the SEC without Carr and Williams out there. They don't have. I mean, Garrison played pretty decent the other night. I'm not going to say that he didn't. He had one of his better games against Alabama, I thought. But having said that, I still don't think he can handle the physicality quite as well as Carr and Williams can. And I think they're going to be key. I think they're going to be key not only in this game, but down the stretch of the season. You know, Kentucky has the guard play. They have Butler, they have Owe, they have Jackson Robinson, they have Kobe Bria. I mean, they have the guard play and the shooting and all that. That is not what is going to be a determining factor to me if they're going to be a good team or not. Because one or two of those, even if one or two is off, one or two of those is going to be playing pretty well, probably, of those guards that I just mentioned.
It's
going to be the physicality down low.
I feel like the physicality is what's going to derail them if down the stretch, and especially
I do too. That's what I'm saying. I think the physicality down low is what is going to hold this team back from reaching its full potential. And I said something different a couple of weeks ago. If you're on the show, I was talking about Jackson Robinson. They needed him to step up to reach their full potential, and they do. I think it's a combo of those two things because Butler and Owe have been playing pretty consistent, I think. And Kobe Bria is doing his thing. He's not every night, but he's consistent enough. He's pretty much doing his thing, what he was supposed to do when he got here. It's Jackson Robinson and the physicality that's going to maximize or become a problem for this team down the road. Having said that, I am going to take Kentucky here. I feel like this is a game that is sandwiched in between the Alabama game that they lost at home and on the road at Tennessee. This is a game that they have to get. They just have to. All right, John. Going to go to the ACC. The ACC really doesn't have too many great teams, but Wake Forest is 15-4. And Wake Forest has been known to kind of be a Duke killer.
Especially at home.
From Duke at home. Duke comes to town and is a 9.5-point favorite.
Oh, Duke's 8-0 so far. They dominate the glass. Now they're ranked, I think, second in the conference in rebounding. Wake Forest is 15th. Wake is a really good defensive team, but if you've watched Duke all year, they probably have the best scoring defense in the ACC. You just have time getting shots off. Duke's won 12 straight. But Wake Forest, I think, has won 5 or 6 straight. I just think Duke's too athletic up top, Brad. And I think their offense is just too good right now. I will say that Wake has been known to win some of these games against Duke at home. They've in the past you've seen it where Duke comes in the better team and Wake just makes plays and they do their thing. But I just think this Duke team is a little bit better than those Duke teams that they brought in the last couple of years. I think Duke
you're right. I mean, this Wake has been one of those teams in the ACC that seems to notch some wins every once in a while against the Dukies, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, Duke.
especially when they come in on the road.
I'll be honest with you. I think Duke is probably playing for overall number 1 seed at this point. They're playing for seeding in the conference right now. I think they're probably going to end up getting a 1 seed when it's all said and done.
Jerry, oh me, stop it. Oh, so Duke has been playing well, guys. I mean, really, really good, to be quite honest. Cooper Flagg's playing, you know, I think he's playing on a level that's really hard to match, to be honest. He's playing really, really stout, way beyond. He's 18 years old. You know, the game has changed over the last 5, 6, 7 years. It used to be a younger game. It used to be 18, 19, 20-year-olds was kind of controlling college basketball. The game now is 23, 24-year-old men that are controlling college basketball. And it's not as easy for an 18-year-old kid to come in and dominate. And Cooper Flagg is holding his own. So you have to tip your cap to that. Even though I am a Kentucky fan, you at least have to tip your cap to that. And as much as I want to think that Wake Forest could pull this off, and like I said, they are 15-4. They've won 5 or 6 games in a row. You know, they're doing pretty good in the ACC, and this is at their home floor, and they have been known to pull an upset or two against Duke. But I am going to take Duke here to win. But you know what, John? I might take Wake Forest in the points. That means they have to win by 10 or more. So I think I'm going to wind up, as far as a better, I think I'm going to take Wake Forest in the points. All right, Ole Miss, coming off of a very, very tough home loss against A&M the other day, is going to Missouri. Missouri's a 2.5-point favorite here. Are you surprised that they're the favorite or no?
Not really. I mean, Missouri's really, really good. You know, they got Tamar Bates. He's playing really, really well for them. Mitchell in the middle is playing really, really well. They've got a good nucleus of players, and what a job Coach Dennis Gates has done. You know, they was 0-18. Was it 0-18 last year? They come in and they've really turned it on.
Yeah,
got ranked this past week. Now they did lose the other night to Texas, which was a tough loss on the road. This is going to be a really underrated game. Both teams like to play really good defense. Both teams like to play physical. This should be an interesting matchup. With that said, I think I'm going to take Missouri here, Brad. I like them at home. They're playing good at home. Give me Mizzou. 2.5 here.
All right, you know, Mizzou does play really well at home. I mean, they're one of those teams that seem like they play so much better at home than they do on the road. And with this being at home, that gives them a big advantage here. Although I do like this Ole Miss team.
Yeah, I do too. They got some really good players in Jalen Murray, Brakefield, Padula, the transfer guard from Virginia Tech, Morrell. They got a really good nucleus of players, and they really get after you defensively. If you didn't watch them, a couple of weeks, was it a week or so ago? They put the brakes on Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
They did, you know. In Tuscaloosa, if they can go on the road and win in Alabama, they can go on the road and win in Missouri. So
I just think
that's where
I
I'm
just
at.
think I just
I
think
think
it's
I'm going to take Ole Miss.
I just think too, Brad. It's the SEC. You go from one extreme to the next. You play one good game, and then you got to go right back and play another elite game here. Like this is a absolute gauntlet every single night, and you got to be ready for war every night. You strap on the shoes and get on that court. It's a
I do
battle.
know this. They got to score more than 62 points, which is what beat
They
them
do.
the other night.
They do. And here's another question. I want to ask this about the A&M ending. What was Ole Miss doing? They had a timeout left in their back pocket, and they tried to force a shot. I mean, it was just
I don't know.
it was out of control.
The whole ending was
The
weird.
whole ending was
A&M over from the 3-point line.
and they hit one to win it. Like,
yeah, all night long, and they hit one to win it. All right, John, this one blew my mind when I looked this up. This game is in Lawrence. How in the hell? I don't think I have ever, since we've been doing this, I don't think I've seen this, John. Kansas is not favored at home.
well, and Houston's really not been tested in the Big 12 yet. This will be a big one for them. They have Kansas. You got to think they're 9-1 at home. Houston's probably not going to go undefeated in Big 12.
Is somebody drunk at DraftKings or what?
I'm going to tell you, I think Hunter Dickinson is a matchup nightmare for this team.
I just don't get it.
If you try to double that guy, they got some guys that can shoot the three. Mayo, DeJuan Harris. I think AJ Storr is a big
AJ Storr seemed to woke. I think he woke up a game or two ago.
Yeah, he's not had a great year. Now he did shoot really well against TCU the other night. I think he's an X factor in this game. And like I said, Houston's really not been tested on the road in the Big 12. And I think this will be the one that they finally get that test. For me, I think it's going to come down to Houston and Iowa State when it all boils down to the Big 12. But you can't leave out Kansas because Kansas at home is a different animal. When you go to Lawrence, it's a different game.
I mean, has DraftKings ever paid attention to what goes on at Lawrence? I mean, the crowd's there, the atmosphere, the record. If you're telling me, I know Houston's a good team. I get it. I know they are. And Houston might win this game. But if you're telling me that you're going to give me Kansas and 2.5 points at the Fog,
I'm probably going to take it.
I'm taking it. I'm taking it.
Yeah. And I tell you too, another thing that's key in this is I think they're 3-1 against Houston. That's another big thing going for Kansas. So, yeah, that's what I said, Jerry. They haven't really played anybody to this point that have challenged them in the Big 12, and I think that starts tomorrow when they go to Lawrence.
I think somebody's drunk at DraftKings is what I think. I mean, and I'm just not beating around the bush about it. All right, UConn at Xavier. Xavier's a 1.5 point favorite at home. UConn has struggled. Let's be honest.
They have. They've not been UConn, I'll say. But I'm going to say this on this other end of it. Xavier cannot finish games, Brad. Had a double-digit lead against St. John's, could not finish it. I think they're going to be highly motivated in this game. It's going to be a packed house at the center. And UConn's not really played well on the perimeter. They're last in three-point defense, which is not normal under Bobby Hurley. Xavier's second in the conference, I think, in three-point shooting.
And Bobby Hurley, by the way, Bobby Hurley has lost his mind.
Well, and two, Xavier, if you remember in the last game, they shot 54% from three.
Wait a second.
And almost beat.
I said Bobby Hurley. Dan Hurley.
Dan Hurley.
Bobby Hurley. What the hell? Jerry Carter got me thinking way back.
I like Xavier's name, Brad. They almost beat UConn the first time. They shot 54% from the three. They're a really good three-point shooting team. Now the Huskies are 9-2 at home. That's usually not normal. They're usually undefeated by now. Which this ain't a home game. This is a away game. I was just mentioning the fact that the Huskies are 9-2 at home, but this is going to be a tough environment for Connecticut. How will they respond after?
I mean, let's be honest. That Butler team that they struggled with the other night is really not that good of a team.
They're not. I think when it's all said and done, Brad, when you look at the Big East, it's going to be between Rick Pitino and Marquette when it's all said and done.
I mean, I'm telling y'all, that Butler team that they struggled with that Hurley's losing his mind about and saying all this stuff to the ref and all the stuff that goes on with this UConn team, that Butler team is really not that great of a team. I think Xavier's better.
Only thing that concerns me about Baylor, Brad, is they don't know how to finish games. Can they finally finish a game? They get a lead on UConn. Can they finally put a team away? That's where I'm at with this, because this is a really good Xavier team.
I'm not impressed with UConn. I'm not impressed with Hurley. I don't know what has happened to him. I think all these teams coming after him and throwing money in the offseason has made him lose his mind, to be quite honest with you. And I just think that this is not their year. I'm going to take Xavier at home. All right, John, this is the big game tomorrow night outside of the Houston-Kansas game. But Tennessee travels to Auburn.
Is Auburn the best team? Is Auburn the best team?
Just to go ahead and say this on the show, even if he is the best coach, what the hell does that mean? He's a referee just because he's the best coach. So even if he is, the guy can't do his job. What does that mean? I mean, it's just stupid. But anyway, go ahead.
Auburn's probably one of the best teams in the country. No Johnny Broome, no problem, seems like, Brad. Janai Broome. They're 2-0 without him. Now, his status, I don't know, was up in the air. They said it was a game-time decision. Now, if he does not go, I think Tennessee will cover this game. If he does go, I don't think they do. I think they're still good without him, but he makes them a totally different team when he's in the game.
If they're going to struggle at Vandy and lose by 1 at Vandy,
there's no way they win this game.
I just don't see how they could possibly win this game.
That's why I'm picking Auburn. It's hard for me to trust them in this particular situation. They've dropped their last 3 road games against the spread. They got whipped at Florida back early in January. Auburn's got a really good, efficient offense. And Tennessee's offense is not that great. Now, There's times where they go through laws where they don't score. And if they do that tomorrow, Auburn could put a good old-fashioned butt kick into them in the jungle. And it could get worse than the Florida game. Let's be honest. So give me Auburn in the points. I think Auburn wins this game.
Yeah.
I think Auburn's the best team in the league by far. Them and Alabama.
All right, guys. We got a couple of Josh. No. I'm sorry. No. No. Just can't. Now, being here with College Sportscast, at times I have picked Tennessee. I'm not going to say that I haven't. I have. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that, I don't want to say this, but I hope no, that you won't hear me say that. No, I'm just telling y'all. I think Auburn's the best team in the country right now. I think they've been the best team in the country. I think losing Janai Broome and still doing what they're doing is proving they're the best team in the country. And I have seen some things from Tennessee that makes me think this Tennessee team is not quite what people thought they were a few weeks ago. They get smoked by Florida. And then they have the issue the other night where, Chaz Lanier has a play run to him. He decides he doesn't want the play. He doesn't want to shoot it. The play runs perfectly fine. Chaz Lanier's wide open, and he just says, nah, I'm not going to do it. And he gets taken out of the game. Then they go to Vandy and lose at Vandy. I don't know. I don't see them being able to go to Auburn and get the win. I'm going to take the Auburn Tigers here in this game. I don't like this spot for Tennessee because of their recent road woes. Because, Brad, you get behind in the jungle, you got the fans against you. Then after this, we go to Knoxville, right?
Yeah. So no time off in the SEC this year for anybody.
Absolutely not. All right, guys, we are going to switch things up and go to women's basketball. But before we do, I am going to let Howie Fresh talk a little bit about his Real Fresh channel.
You need new entertainment. You need full-length content. You need the Real Fresh channel. Hey, I'm Howie Fresh from the Real Fresh channel. Subscribe today on YouTube. We have new content. We are a network of podcasters putting out new stuff every single day. Whether you need sports, pro or college, whether you need comedies, whether you need pop culture, whether you need wrestling. We've got so much content on there. Gaming. Check it out. Live, not live. We've got it all. The Real Fresh channel. Subscribe today.
All right, guys, that was Howie Fresh. He is riding the Stadium Rant with us and doing a bunch of NFL stuff and coverage, and he has a great, absolutely great, if you are a bettor, he has a great show where he does the weekly picks and has an absolute fantastic record, like 70% winners. So, I mean, he is fantastic. Check him out on the Real Fresh channel, and Fresh Takes is the name of that show. All right, got to give Howie a shout out. Haven't given him one for a little while. So the first game we're going to talk about on the women's side, John, is Michigan State at Michigan tomorrow on Saturday. This is kind of surprise. I mean, both of these teams are having a better season than what I think was expected.
Yeah, Michigan State is 16-3, playing really, really well. They're 6-2 in Big Ten play. They got some really good athletes. They got the junior forward in the middle, Grace Van Sluten. She's playing really well. On Michigan side, you got Silas Swartz. I think she's second in the team in scoring. Olivia Olson's really, really good. Jordan Hobbs is a really good senior guard from Michigan. Michigan's sixth in the scoring offense in the Big Ten. I think they're averaging over 80 points. This should be an interesting game, and I will say, it being at Ann Arbor, I think I'm gonna go with Michigan in this game. If you've not watched Silas Swartz play basketball, you're missing out.
She's a freshman, by the way, and playing really well.
She's really, really good. So, give me the Wolverines. I think they win this game against Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, I like this Michigan State team. They have played really well, but I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to be tough going into Ann Arbor with the way this team has played and the freshmen has played for Michigan. They've just had a really, really good season. I'm going to take Michigan as well in that one. All right, this is Sunday. Number 1, UCLA is going to number 8, Maryland. Top 10 matchup here. Now, Maryland did lose a bench piece. 10-point score. Mm-hmm. So, this Maryland team is not going to be at full strength. Mm-hmm. Do they have a shot against the number 1 team in the country?
It's going to be tough. Lauren Betts is playing at a really elite level right now. Like I said, their coach, I can't remember her name at UCLA. I said she was probably one of the coach of the year this year. Should be interesting to see how they respond losing their key player. I'm trying to think what the girl's name was. Was it Sellers or McDaniel? I think. Yeah, I think it was McDaniel, wasn't it?
Yes,
McDaniel's the one. Now, Kayleen Schmickel is leading the turf. Allie Kubik. I think Shine Sellers is out too. She's got a messed up knee. Betts is playing at a really high level, like I said, with Kiki Rice. Kiki Rice is really, really good. Her and Betts together. I think I'm going to take UCLA here. I think Maryland's going to miss McDaniels' presence.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think that's going to hurt this Maryland team. They were undefeated up to about a week or so ago. They have lost since then. This is probably going to be another one. It's going to be tough with the number 1 team coming to town. Yeah. UCLA is still undefeated. And it's going to be a tough one. I'm going to take the Bruins on the road in this game. Another one we're going to talk about, John, on Sunday is Duke goes to Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Georgia Tech is having a really good year. Kara Dunn's playing really well for them. Tony Morgan, having a great season so far, and Duke's having a wonderful year too. They whipped SMU the other night. This Duke team is a fun team to watch. If you've not watched Duke play, you're missing out.
Kara Lawson has done a fantastic job coaching, with Duke. She is, I think, she's one of those just under the radar from the top-notch coaches that a lot of people don't really know that she's that good of a coach.
I think this is how you say it. I don't want to butcher her name. Is Danny Carnegie. She's from Georgia Tech. I think early in the year she had 28 points against Syracuse early. So This Georgia Tech team's fun to watch. It's in Atlanta. This could be you could probably put this on an upset watch, especially this Georgia Tech team, the way they run, the way they play. I think I'm going to go Duke, though. I just think Duke has the better team when it's all said and done.
I mean, I agree with you. I think Duke does have a better team, but playing at Georgia Tech, I mean, they beat UNC earlier in the season. This Georgia Tech team has been playing well. I'm gonna take them at home, I think, in this one, and kind of mix it up here a little bit. I think this is going to be a close one that could go either way, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 7, Texas is going to Ole Miss on Sunday, and John, this Ole Miss team was ranked early. They played some tough teams.
They're also going to wear. I read earlier they're going to wear throwback jerseys in this game.
Yeah.
So,
Madison Scott, KK Deans, this Ole Miss team has some talent.
Yeah, and they won.
Can they match up at home with Madison Booker and Roy Harmon?
Well, I mean, they've won back-to-back SEC games. They beat Florida, beat a really good Mississippi State team.
Yep.
I think they're 13-5. Texas is coming in off a win over Tennessee, 19-2. I think it's a great opportunity for Ole Miss to put their name in the hat and pick up a quad one win when it comes to the turn play. They got a really good coach as well. I love her as a coach. She's probably one of the most, I think, underrated head coaches in the country. McCoon, I think is how you say it. Yolette McPhee. I think that's how you say her name. I don't want to butcher her name, but she's a really good coach.
I'm not good with kind of.
She's a really good coach for them. She's very energetic, very she's got them back into the spotlight. I think, what was it, Brad? They had them last year before they went to the was it Sweet 16 maybe, I think?
Yeah, I think they did.
So,
yeah.
She's doing some good things there. But I think Texas just has too many weapons. Texas is playing at an elite level right now, and I really love this Texas team. Schaefer,
Tennessee hung with them the other night.
Coach Schaefer's a fantastic coach.
Yeah, he is. But Tennessee hung with Texas the other night. Tennessee, I mean, they just got beat by 4.
They did.
Last night. Yeah. So this is a game that could surprise some people. I am going to take Texas because I think Texas has that team that's trying to make a run for a Final Four or more. Yeah. I'm not sure Ole Miss has a Final Four team. I think if they can play it out at best, I think they might be a Sweet 16 team.
Yeah, I agree.
Something like that. But at home, could they pull out a surprise here?
It's possible.
It's possible.
They're going to have to play their game because Texas is you can't.
KK Deans, Madison Scott, a couple of others that they have that are really good players is going to have to play well in that game.
Yeah, they have to step up. Yeah.
All right, John. Baylor is at TCU. TCU got upset a couple of nights ago by Oklahoma State by 1 point as well, and they had been rocking and rolling. I think they were like 19-1 or something.
Man, it seems like when you talk about Baylor, you talk about Brittany Griner and the legendary teams that they had. It just seems like they've kind of slacked off a little bit.
But here's the thing, John. They're not ranked. They don't get any love. And people still want to go all the way back to the Brittany Griner days to think about them. But they're 16-3.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember Jada Walker.
Yeah, she played for the Cats.
Jada Walker played 2 years for the Cats. She is still at Baylor. She transferred. She is a fifth-year senior. She is still the little point guard down there on this Baylor team, and she's going to be going up against Haley Van Lith here in this game. I mean, it's going to be a really good point guard battle.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall task for Baylor. It's not all about her either. Haley Van Lith. They got Sedona Prince. She's playing really, really good for them.
6'7", by the way.
She's a really good player.
Yeah.
They just lost to UCLA. I think it was a couple of nights ago. Was it Baylor lost to UCLA? Which you got to remember, UCLA is number one in the country. They're probably going to be right in the mix of the Final Four. So it's not really a bad loss. But if you can win a game like this against TCU, it's probably going to keep Baylor in the top 25. And then they have a stretch where they play a bunch of unranked teams, which I think will kind of build their resume and build their win totals to get them into the tournament. I think this Baylor team's probably going to be in the tournament. Now, whether they go to the Sweet 16 or whatever, that's another thing. They got to improve. But I like this Baylor team. I think they're a good team. I think that it's just not the glaze.
Jada Walker was the point guard on the Kentucky team that beat South Carolina in the tournament in 2022, SEC tournament. I
just think Baylor's lost its flash a lot in the last few years, but they're still a good program. That's nothing to take away from them. They're a good program. I just think it's not the flash that we've seen.
I'm going to give this one to Haley Van Lith and TCU here in Sedona Prince because it's at home and they're coming off of a loss. I'm going to give them the bounce back here, but I'm going to be honest with you. It would not shock me if Jada Walker and the Baylor Bears come in and get a win here.
Mm-mm.
All right, John. I'm going to give you a chance. I left out a couple of games that you kind of put on a list. You can go men's or women's, or we can do a couple of men's, and we can do a couple of women's.
I'll do these women's with the FSU North Carolina. I like this North Carolina team. I think they're really, really good. FSU, everybody thought really FSU was going to have a great year, and it just seems like they've kind of not done so great once they've gotten to ACC play. And, now the Tar Heels, on the other hand, are a really good basketball team. I think they got a guard. I'm trying to think the girls. India Navarre is really, really good. Donarski. North Carolina's got a pretty good basketball team.
God dang. You can't forget that one.
And then they got Kelly, Renee Kelly. This is a fun one.
I will tell you what, God dang, she plays that way too. By the way,
she does. I got North Carolina here. I think they take care of business at home.
I like the Tar Heels at home and Vandy at Alabama.
Yeah, you said Vandy, Alabama was another one. I love this Vanderbilt team.
All the girls.
I think they're really, really good. It's hard to not notice the two girls that are in the backcourt for Vanderbilt. Michaela Blake, she's really, really good. Freshman. She's a freshman. Alabama's got a really good team. Shea Ralph is one of the best coaches in the country. They've not made the tournament since 2014. They didn't do real great her first 2 years. Now they did.
They're coming on though.
I think they made it in the first 4 in 24. I think they to Baylor in the first round. But overall, I think this is a really good Vanderbilt team. They beat Tennessee last week, or this past week. Alabama's really good. Alabama's got some really good players on their team. Barker. I'm not for sure if she's playing right now. I think
She's been out. I don't know if she's coming back or not. When?
Yeah.
She had a hamstring problem, I think.
Yeah, she did. But I think I'm going to take Bama in this game. I like them at home.
All right. So one more bonus. I'm going to go back to the men's game. Oklahoma is at Arkansas tomorrow.
Yeah, Arkansas needs this game.
Do you think Arkansas can get a second win in a row here?
They need it. I think they need it. I mean, I think they played better this past week against Georgia. I thought they played physical. I thought, even without Boogie Flan, they did some really good things. I thought Carter Knox played really, really well. Wednesday night, I thought he done a really good job off the bench. Actually, no, he started. He started the game. But they're going to need this game, and I say that because they're going to hit a tough stretch here. And Oklahoma is kind of probably fighting for their life too because they need some wins to kind of get back in that upper echelon of the SEC. I feel like if Arkansas loses this game, they got a whole week to marinate before John Calipari goes to Lexington.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think they need to win this game, honestly, because there's a stretch there.
It's in Fayetteville. I mean, they really do need this game. I just thought I'm not going to make a pick here.
Oh no, I'm just saying. The thing about this game, they got to win this game, and I say that because you sit all week with that loss on your mind in Kentucky next weekend, and the whole Calipari thing. It's going to make for some interesting combos on the timeline. All I'll say about it.
That's true. All right, the last one, bonus-wise, Michigan State goes to Rutgers tomorrow.
I could see
Michigan State. Tom Izzo, I think, should be on people's short list for Coach of the Year so far.
I think he's done really well. Jason Richardson is playing really, really well. Jason Richardson's used to play for Michigan State.
On the other hand, has a ton of talent.
Ace Bailey
has not played well.
Dylan Harper, they haven't played great. Their preseason rankings not matching up to what they are now. Fears is playing really, really well for Michigan State. And if many don't know, his brother plays for Oklahoma. Yeah. Jeremiah Fears. And they got Cohen Carr. He's playing at an elite level. This is a fun Michigan State team. And I would not be shocked, Brad. I'll just say it because if you've never played at Rutgers, they call it the rack. A lot of teams don't come out of that place with wins. It's a tough place to play. There's been a lot of teams over the last few years lost in that arena. So I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan State dropped this game right here. But I think I'm going to take Michigan State. I think they're playing at an elite level. I think they win the Big Ten. And what has happened to Illinois? We don't need to go on a big ramble here.
But they're so up and down.
They're just so up and down. I thought they was going to be really good, and then they got whipped last night by Maryland. Just some funky times in Champaign.
Yeah, they're just so up and down. But Michigan State has been playing really well. I hope to see them continue that tomorrow for East Lansing, for Michigan State, and for Tom Izzo. From me, I mean, it's really good to see Michigan State back playing pretty good and holding their own. I'd love to see them win the Big Ten this year, to be honest.
I would too.
All right, final buzzer. Going to kind of wrap this up with a thought here. I saw while we have been on this show, Jerry Jones hired Brian Schottenheimer.
Please tell me he did not.
He did. ESPN. I'm pretty sure it's official now. I'm pretty sure. But that's not exactly what I want to talk about. I want to talk about greats who hung on too long and ruined their legacy. Jerry Jones,
Is one
30
of them.
years ago, was one of the best owners in football and was winning 3 out of 4 titles with one of the best teams ever assembled. And is just he's followed in the footsteps of somebody like Al Davis, who was winning championships and going to Super Bowls in the 70s and 80s and hung on way too long, and everybody remembers him as a loser. And then I'll even throw another name in there, John. Calipari's kind of hung on too long, been struggling. What's your thoughts on greats not knowing when it's time to step away?
The thing about Jerry Jones, let me just say about Jerry Jones, it's been a misstep. You know, they had the 1-15 disaster in '89. I think he was the first year as an owner. They went through the draft and they got Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman. Then they hired Jimmy Johnson, which I thought was stupid to let him go. You know, it's built, this whole roster and whole culture was built under Jimmy Johnson. He had 2 of those Super Bowls. You know, then they moved on to Barry Switzer.
Would have had more if Jerry Jones didn't kick him to the curb.
Some coaching hires he's made that are really good and some not. You know, he had Chan Gailey in '99. That was a disaster. Dave Campo was a disaster. That was probably the darkest era that I've ever been involved in as a Cowboys fan. Then you had Bill Parcells, which I thought Parcells was a good, you know, coach at the time.
He was a good hire. I'm not going to sit and
he
tell
was.
you.
It was.
I think Mike McCarthy was a good hire.
They had Wade Phillips, which I think Wade Phillips is a better D coordinator than he is a coach. And then you had Jason Garrett, which I thought, you know, where they were promoted him from, he was the offensive coordinator.
The thing about Jason Garrett is he hung on to Jason Garrett for way too long.
Way too long. And then you had Mike McCarthy. But it's been more than 30 years, Brad, since Jerry Jones has been able to really – he's trying to pick and figure out how to put a winning team.
John, let me ask you this about the Brian Schottenheimer thing, okay? Schottenheimer's been there. He was the OC. However, they didn't allow him to call the plays.
Yeah.
They fired Kellen Moore. And instead of trusting Brian Schottenheimer to call plays, Mike McCarthy took it over.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't trust this man to call the offensive plays on your team, why in the hell are you trusting this guy to run the whole team if you didn't even trust him to call plays?
The problem with all this, Brad, and I say this,
that's insane if you really think about it.
This decision was based on continuity. You know, and I think
continuity of what? Losing?
Well, that, and I think it's tied directly to Dak Prescott. You know, he has a $240 million contract. They don't want to change systems. You know, they didn't want to bring in a new offensive system.
Continuity to what? Losing?
My hope is that Schottenheimer will be able to pick up where McCarthy, you know, on the offense side of the ball. And I don't know. And his coaching, he's been coaching since the late 90s. Like he was, his dad was Marty Schottenheimer, if people don't know.
Yeah.
hosting Kansas City,
Good
San
coach.
Diego. I think.
Marty Schottenheimer's. I'm not going to take anything away from the Schottenheimers. I'm not. Marty Schottenheimer was a good coach, good man.
Well, I mean, majority of his time was spent, I think, with Seattle, where he was offense coordinator with Pete Carroll. And when they had Russell Wilson, I think they was top 5 in offensive.
But again, Pete Carroll done a whole lot of the play calling.
He did. I agree. But at the same time, I'm not real happy about this hire. But what can you do as a fan? You got to sit and take it, because I'm going to say this, and I'll kind of let you go on. The Jones family has ruined the Dallas Cowboys franchise and their fans.
Well, but that's kind of where I wanted to start with this is, there was a time when he was at the top of the game as an owner and was extremely well thought of. Now, John, he's a punchline.
Well, what he wants, Jerry wants all the control, and he wants a yes man. And
so you're telling me he would rather be a joke and a punchline just to have a yes man?
That's basically what it is. Yes.
That doesn't make at what point in your own head do you just get the hell out of your own way? He's the owner. His team could be successful. He could sit back in his little box and be the owner of a successful franchise.
But that's not what he's wanting.
Not only a successful franchise, but the Dallas Cowboys.
But that's not what he's wanting to do. He's wanting to be the coach and the owner, and he's wanting to control everything.
At what point are you smart enough to get the hell out of your own way? I just don't get it. Al Davis did the exact same thing for 20 years. Guess what? Jerry Jones, congratulations. You are now the Al Davis of the NFL. Congratulations. Wow. That's all I got to say. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up with that. This has been the final buzzer, College Sportscast, our game day pick'ems. Had a little fun at the end. John is a diehard Cowboys fan.
I am. And I want to say this real quick before we log out. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. I sit and say, well, I'll never watch them again. But that's not true. But at some point, there needs to be accountability. And there's no accountability in the front office. There's none. And they don't
listen just wanting to have to own a successful franchise. How about that?
Then you do it with this kind of hire,
he's the owner. He can cash in and be the owner of a successful franchise. I just don't get it. John must have ended or left, or I'm not sure. There he is. He's coming back.
Gary Jones cut me out. We'll just end on that note, Brad. I don't want to get into a big rant tonight because it's not even worth talking about at this point.
All right, guys. We are happy to be part of Stadium Rant now. That's been at the top of the show the entire time in the right-hand corner, so we appreciate that. This has been College Sportscast Game Day Pick'em. Join us Monday night. We are going to be doing our Big Blue Hoops Cast show. We have a big guest on Monday night, Corey Price of the UK Sports Network. He is a statistician for football and basketball. He works for UK in the PR communications as well. He is fantastic with historian and statistics for Kentucky sports.
Yeah, it'll blow your mind, honestly.
He's fantastic, and he's going to be here to help break down a bunch of stats and things that he puts out on these two teams. We will talk women's and men's basketball. That's the reason why we're going to talk about what he sees, talk about the stats that he puts out, talk about the games of this weekend, and looking forward to March. So join us on Monday night, College Sportscast, the Big Blue Hoops Cast. We will have Corey Price with us from the UK Sports Network. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good one.